let's get right to several things you need to know as the clock hits 9 a.m. Domestic flight departures in the United States are slowly starting to resume after the FAA suffered a major system outage this morning, leading to a nationwide grounding. We'll bring you the latest in just a few minutes.
Plus, Apple is making its own in-house screens for its devices in a major blow to Samsung. This is just the latest in the company's sweeping effort to make more of its products in-house. But which companies will it end up hurting the most?
And to check up the markets, as futures this morning are higher across the board. NASDAQ gained its third straight winning day for the first time since November. We'll keep a close eye on trading as we're about 30 minutes out from the start of trade. But we got to get to that top story today.
Yes, we do. Flights across the U.S. are returning gradually to normal operations after the Federal Aviation Administration ordered all airlines to pause all domestic departures until further notice due to an outage in a major FAA system that sends messages to pilots. You're looking right now at a live shot of Reagan Airport there. Don't see any planes moving, at least not at the moment. Let's bring in Anthony Roman, founder and CEO of AC Roman. He's also a licensed pilot, and also Mike Boyd, president of Boyd Group International. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here as we see this situation. It seems gradually getting back to normal, but it does raise questions about the sort of the fitness of our national transportation system. Anthony, I'll start here with you. It doesn't seem like this thing happens this often at all. How vital is this system that went down to pilots?
It's critically vital. Pilots receive all types of notifications with regards to hazards or weather conditions or runway conditions that are present in and about all of the airports. So it plays to passenger safety very critically. All flights were paused. It appears that they're reloading the system at this time and conducting software validation checks. So we should start to see a release of some airplanes. We're starting to see some flights departing out of Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta right now.
Okay, and so additionally here, maybe you can walk us through, Mike, exactly what takes place from the airline operator side. We had already seen some of the alerts and warnings start to trickle in from airlines as the FAA was undergoing its own procedures. We had actually gotten notifications either via Twitter or even into Yahoo Finance directly from Delta. And what checks do they need to go through to ensure that everything is safe and they could operate as normal?
Well, they're the recipient of this. If they're not getting what they need from the FAA, as the gentleman just said, they can't move. It's a safety issue. But there's a bigger issue here. How did this happen? Number one, it's one thing for Southwest to go down. That was the Grinch that stole Christmas. It was a terrible thing. But this here is a situation where our entire national system could go down. The real issue here is how bad off is the FAA and how desperately we need people who have aviation experience running the thing to make sure this doesn't happen again, because airlines cannot fly without the FAA operating normally or operating efficiently. That's not happening.
Mike, for those not familiar with the inner workings of airlines and the FAA, how outdated is our technology or this infrastructure that we rely so heavily upon?
Well, we've been banging on this for the last, 30 years about the need for a free flight approach to air traffic control. The problem is we're way beyond the issue of having vacuum tubes and things like that. It's gone way beyond that, been improved. But the real issue here is we don't have aviation professionals running the FAA. We have political appointees. So the people in the FAA can't do their jobs efficiently when the people at the top every few years are replaced by another political appointee. And that's about to happen again, I fear. So for the airline industry, they're kind of the victim in this thing, and so is the flying public.
I'm just looking here, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing here, Mike. Billy Nolan is the acting FAA administrator, I believe. It looks like he does have a flight background, no?
Yeah, but take a look at Phil Washington. He runs Denver Airport. He's a very great guy, but he doesn't have a depth of experience in aviation. That's what they want to put in there. We've had some great people running it, but right now, Mr. Nolan is not in line to become the FAA administrator. A political appointee is. That's what has to change.
Anthony, if we were to put a price tag or even, begin to kind of spitball a price tag in order to really get the system the updates that it needs, what kind of cost are we talking here?
We're talking massive costs, and we're talking years for implementation. It does need to be done. The system needs to be upgraded. The FAA apparently is always a step or two behind the current technology that exists today. And the free flight system that my colleague was speaking about today has been in planning and in testing for almost a decade at this point, and we yet don't see any implementation date. So we're going to continue to have these cascading FAA problems, and that's superimposed on the pilot shortage dilemma that we have. So in the next 2 to 4 years, we're going to continue to see airline delays and problems, many of which are no fault of the airlines at all.
Anthony, if you were in the air flying a plane when this news hit or when these developments hit, what are your first moves and how chaotic does it get in the cockpit?
Well, it doesn't get critically chaotic in the cockpit because you always have communication with the air traffic controllers. And the air traffic controllers are updated with regard to the conditions in or around the airport. What it does create in terms of hazard is human failure, mistakes of omission. Is some critical information omitted or not passed on to a particular controller and therefore does not go to the flying pilot? And that can create the incidents and accidents that can be prevented by an automated system.
All right. Anthony Roman, FAA licensed commercial pilot, and Mike Boyd, president of Boyd Group International. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time here with us this morning to really wrap our minds around what's taking place and what we'll continue to monitor throughout the rest of the day as well. We appreciate it.